जैसा आपने लास्ट वीडियो में मैंने बताया था कि हाउ फ्रॉम आफ्टर डूइंग माई MBA आई फाइनली स्टार्टेड आइडल इंश्योरेंस and that the real struggle started then. So I want to share the struggles that I had to go through because every entrepreneur has to go through similar struggles in life, and maybe knowing my struggle that can help you on how to cope up with that struggle. Right? And India is a very difficult country to do business with. It's a very competitive business, and rules and regulations are exactly not easy, not very friendly to entrepreneurs. So after my MBA, when I started Idle Insurance, the first struggle was to get the company formed. Fortunately for me, that was not so much of a challenge because I was from a financial background. My family was into taxation and otherwise. So the company was formed, right? Then choosing the location, right? Because initially, where do you want to start with? In fact, I had a lot of confusion because I was from Calcutta. My contacts and everything were in Calcutta, but I wanted to start the business in Bombay because Bombay is a very large market. So there are so many decisions which we have to take when we start, and I think it is very important to spend a lot of time on thinking and strategizing these decisions because they will be a very instrumental in defining your success tomorrow. For me, there were some struggles that I want to share with you. The first one was, of course, the funding. Right? पैसा बिना तो कुछ नहीं हो सकता है. So when I started, I coincidentally when around that time SPJ and the startup industry had just taken off. थोड़े बहुत फंडिंग्स हो रही थी इंडिया में, बट अभी उतना भी नहीं हुआ था. It was very early stage for the startup boom. So and in fact my college SPJN started a small fund for the graduates from SPJN, and I approached the professor who was in charge of that fund, and I was looking at only 10 lakh rupees to get started. Fortunately, my business was not very capital intensive, and he loved the idea and everything, but he rejected my funding because he didn't find the business glamorous enough. So, but it is not easy. I mean, I didn't want to take much money from my father because, as I said, he was also going through financially distressed time. So funding was a problem for me. So I started very bootstrapped. Fortunately for me, my father came to my rescue and he gave me the basic seed capital of 5 lakh rupees which I needed to start the company. So creating and forming a team, I think, will be your number one challenge, right? And that challenge will never go away, right? You have to continuously form the team, but for a newcomer, for a startup, it is even more difficult, because as I said, people will find it difficult to rely on you, whether they will have a career growth or not. आपकी कंपनी रहेगी भी कि नहीं एक साल बाद, ये भी किसी को नहीं पता होता है. So I started with one very junior guy to handle my accounts, and I didn't have money also to pay the salary. So I started with one people, and when I started creating revenue, okay, I hired some people, but again very junior people. So I realized one thing very very early, that I have to build up my team. I have to groom my team. I will never get ready-made people from outside. So I started looking at people who were very hungry for work, who came from very humble backgrounds, but जिनको कुछ करना था, right? और उन पे मैंने अपना time effort invest किया, which paid us in the long term. So this will be my advice to all entrepreneurs and people who are entering into business or even now into business. Manpower will always be a problem, right? And there is nothing called perfect manpower. You have to invest in people. You have to train them, groom them, spend time with them. Okay. Now, the third struggle which I faced, which was completely unexpected, is the typical license Raj of India. Insurance broking इंडिया में चालू करने के लिए you need a insurance broking license, okay, and which is given by IRDA, and which I realized was not an easy thing, right? India is still, I feel, in a license raj even after so many years. So after applying to RDA for the license, I realized we faced a very big problem. Now, that time the broking industry had just started, and the rules and regulations were not very well defined. So I had applied from an NBFC. I had formed an NBFC and applied the license from an NBFC. Now IDA said that as per their rules, it is nowhere mentioned that NBFC cannot get a license. But ये कहीं नहीं लिखा था कि NBFC को लाइसेंस नहीं मिल सकता है. So they said you have to go to RBI and get a confirmation from them, which I found very stupid, but ठीक है, nothing doing. So then I went to RBI. RBI said कि now we have not mentioned anywhere कि NBFC को लाइसेंस नहीं मिल सकता है. So हम इसमें क्या करें? They said you go back to IDA only, and I kept playing ball just between both the organizations for a very small thing. Finally, one day I just went to the RBI and I requested for an appointment with the director in RBI. Of course, I didn't get an appointment like that, but मैंने decide कर लिया था कि मैं वहाँ धरना दे दूँगा, and I just went and sat in their office. It took me 3 days, but finally I got an appointment with the director. There was one Mrs. Usha Thorat. Finally, she understood my problem, and she was very kind enough, and she gave me NOC from RBI that they don't have a problem if IDA gives a broking license to NBFC, and finally my problem was solved. So my advice is to entrepreneurs this was a very good learning that we cannot give up. You'll face many such problems when you start, and you have to just be persistent. If you know what you're doing is right, then you will find a way eventually. So, struggles हमेशा रहेंगे. That is something which is 100% unavoidable. Whenever you want to set up a business, you want to do something big, कोई भी location हो, कोई भी business हो, you will face many struggles. But what is important is that how do you cope up and how do you manage these struggles, right? So what I did was, yes, one very basic thing is that you have to be patient, right? Things may take time, but there's no shortcut to it, right? If you give up hope or if you become restless, that will be very detrimental. Okay, I think I was lucky that I got the license in 6 months, but what if 2 years, right? Still does not matter. I would have to wait for those 2 months, be patient. But yes, I utilized those 6 months very well, right? While I was pursuing the license. So I worked on my website, I worked on the brochure, I started calling people, I started getting a network. So I ensured that, when I was going through that struggle, I engaged myself and I used that time productively. So it's very important for any entrepreneur to have that determination, to have that patience, when they are starting a business. But you know what, friends? At the end of every struggle, when you finally succeed, that moment of joy, the satisfaction, that is worth every struggle that we make. So don't hesitate. Struggles will come, but they'll make you a stronger, a better entrepreneur.